The bright studio lights glowed softly as the audience settled in, the air filled with an electric anticipation. Tonight's episode of Emma Live Tonight wasn't just another celebrity interview. It was about to reveal something profoundly human, something unexpected. The energy in the room was palpable, the kind that happens when an audience senses they are about to witness a moment that will be remembered. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice carrying an edge of intrigue. Our guest tonight is someone you may think you know, but tonight you're going to see a side of him you've never seen before. Please welcome Barron Trump. The applause was immediate and enthusiastic as Barron Trump strode onto the set. He was taller than many expected, his presence commanding but not intimidating. He wore a tailored navy suit that fit him perfectly, exuding a quiet confidence. Yet there was something about the way he walked, measured, controlled, careful. As he approached Emma, he extended his hand in a firm but polite handshake before taking his seat. Emma eased into the conversation, beginning with light-hearted banter. They spoke about his studies, his interests, his experience growing up in the public eye. His answers were thoughtful, his tone measured. It was clear that he had spent years learning how to navigate interviews, how to offer just enough without giving too much. But then, Emma's expression softened. She leaned forward, the warmth in her voice signaling that they were about to shift into deeper territory. Barron, I understand you recently attended a very special charity event where something deeply personal happened. Would you be open to sharing that moment with us? For the first time that evening, Barron hesitated. A flicker of something unspoken crossed his face as he adjusted his cufflink, a nervous habit, perhaps. He took a deep breath, exhaling slowly. Then he nodded. Yes, it was a fundraiser for children's health initiatives, he began. I was invited to speak, and while preparing my speech, I kept thinking about someone from my childhood. Emma tilted her head slightly, encouraging him with an inviting smile. Tell us about that person. Barron's gaze dropped momentarily before he looked back up, his voice carrying an unexpected vulnerability. His name was Adam, he said, his voice softer now. We met when we were really young, maybe 7 or 8. He was one of those kids who had this energy, this light about him. He was kind, always laughing, always making others feel included. The audience leaned in, the room growing quieter as Barron's words became more personal. But when we were around 10, Adam's father was diagnosed with cancer. It was aggressive. I remember Adam telling me one day at school, "My dad's going to be okay. The doctors said they have medicine." He paused, exhaling sharply as if trying to steady himself. He was so hopeful, so sure. A deep silence filled the studio. Even Emma, usually quick to interject with follow-up questions, remained quiet, allowing Barron to take his time. A few months late, his dad passed away. The weight of those words hung in the air. Emma's expression softened, and the audience murmured softly in sympathy. I had never seen someone my age go through something like that, Barron admitted. He stopped smiling, stopped making jokes. One day I asked him if he wanted to come over to my house, play video games like we always did, and he just looked at me and said, I don't feel like it. Barron exhaled, shaking his head slightly as he continued. And I didn't know what to say. I was just a kid too. I thought I could cheer him up, but I didn't understand that some things can't just be cheered up. I just wanted him to feel okay again. A single tear rolled down his cheek. He quickly wiped it away, but the audience had already seen it. The camera zoomed in slightly, capturing the rawness of the moment, the sincerity in his voice, the unshed emotion in his eyes. This wasn't just a story. This was a memory that had stayed with him for years. Emma reached out and placed a comforting hand on his arm. That must have been really difficult for you, Barron. He nodded. Yeah. And that night, at the charity event, I was talking about the importance of emotional support for children going through loss, and I saw Adam in my mind. I thought about how I wished I had done more, said more, and I lost it. Right there on stage. Emma let the moment breathe, giving him time. Then gently she asked, how did the audience react? Barron chuckled lightly, wiping his eyes again. They were so kind. People came up to me afterward, sharing their own stories. I guess it showed them that no matter who you are, loss and grief are universal. The audience, deeply moved, clapped softly. Some members dabbed at their eyes. This wasn't the kind of applause that followed a performance. It was an acknowledgement of something real, something deeply human. Emma leaned in. Barron, if Adam were watching this right now, what would you say to him? Barron took a deep breath, considering the question carefully. I'd tell him I wish I had been a better friend to him. I'd tell him that his pain mattered, that he wasn't alone. Emma swallowed hard, visibly moved. She placed a hand over her heart. Barron, tonight, you've shown a side of yourself that many people have never seen. And I think I speak for everyone when I say we see you, we hear you, and we thank you for sharing this story. Barron gave a small, appreciative smile. Thank you for giving me the space to share it. The show wrapped up with warm applause, but the moment lived on far beyond the studio. Almost instantly, social media erupted with clips of the interview. The internet was flooded with reactions. Wow, I never knew Barron Trump had this level of depth. That was one of the most genuine moments I've seen on TV in a long time. We forget that public figures are humans too. That was powerful. The video spread like wildfire, generating thousands of comments from people who had lost loved ones, from those who had struggled with grief in silence. People from all walks of life shared their own stories, their own regrets, their own experiences of loss. What had started as an interview on a talk show had turned into something much bigger, a global conversation about empathy, about grief, about how we support those around us in their darkest moments. It wasn't about politics or fame or legacy. It was about being human. And in that moment, Barron Trump had done something few public figures ever managed to do. He had made the world stop and listen. This moment on live television was more than just an emotional revelation. It was a reminder of the deep humanity that exists behind public personas. Barron Trump's story resonated because it was raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. It showcased the profound impact of childhood friendships, the weight of regret, and the universal nature of grief. Too often, society expects public figures to remain composed, to be stoic in the face of emotions. But Barron's vulnerability shattered that expectation, showing that strength isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about having the courage to express them. His story reminded millions that acknowledging pain, both our own and that of others, is a vital step toward healing. In an age where social media often highlights only the polished, curated moments of life, this interview stood out. It wasn't rehearsed or manufactured, it was real. And that authenticity struck a chord with people across generations and backgrounds. The outpouring of support online reflected a deeper truth. We all long for connection, for moments that remind us that despite our differences, we share the same fundamental human experiences. More than anything, this moment challenges us to reflect on our own actions. Have we been the kind of friend that someone needed during their hardest times? Have we truly listened when someone opened up about their pain? Have we let people know they are not alone? Barron Trump's emotional revelation wasn't just about his past, it was a call to all of us to be more present for the people in our lives. Because in the end, kindness, understanding, and simply being there for someone can make all the difference. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts below. Your perspective is valuable and might inspire others.